Welcome back to Between the Sheets, the show where we dive deep, very deep, into the hottest reads. And today, folks, we're going spelunking into a world of ancient gods, spicy rituals, and skull-faced romance. I am buzzing about Untethering Dark by Desirée M. Niccoli.
And I'm your resident cynic, here to remind everyone that love is a social construct designed to sell greeting cards and overpriced chocolates. And apparently, now books about women who fall for checks notes, a 12,000-year-old forestgod with a skull for a face. Are you sure you didn't accidentally wander into the horror section?
You wound me. This isn't horror, it's horny folklore. Think less chainsaw massacre and more consensual, magically charged bone-on-bone action, and I mean that literally. The book opens with a quote that perfectly sets the tone. It was fair that something so glorious but also be her demise. But that was the way of nature. Beauty in one hand, destruction in the other.
So, basically, he's hot, but he might eat me. Worth it. Is that the tagline for this masterpiece?
It's about embracing the wild, the untamed, the deliciously dangerous. We're talking about Astrid, a witch in training who's trying to become a full-fledged winter hag. She's fierce, she's morally grey, and she's got a thing for ancient deities.
Okay, morally grey is code for probably commits tax fraud, right? And winter hag. Is that like a seasonal employee at a ski resort?
No, it's a powerful, terrifying figure from German folklore. And then there's Godaks. He's the aforementioned skull-faced forest god. He's ancient, powerful, and apparently very good at certain things.
Let me guess, knitting? Taxidermy. Competitive eating. Because with a skull face, I'm not seeing a lot of options for, shall we say, oral satisfaction.
You're incorrigible. Let's just say he's resourceful and the chemistry between them. Electric, it's a slow burn, a dance of power and desire, a
recipe for disaster. A lawsuit waiting to happen. A very awkward conversation with your therapist.
A love story that involves cookies of all things. Astrid woos this terrifying god with baked goods. There's a line in one of the reviews. If you see me out in the woods with a plate of cookies, mind your business. I'm obsessed.
So, the key to a monster's heart is through his stomach, or in this case, his lack of stomach. Does he just pour the cookies into his skull cavity? I'm picturing a very messy, crumb-filled romance.
It's metaphorical. It's about the sweetness, the vulnerability, the offering, and the plot. It's not just about them getting acquainted. There's a mystery, a supernatural threat, a conflict between those who respect the forest and those who exploit it.
Oh, so it's eco-friendly smut? Is there a scene where they recycle together? Maybe plant a tree after, you know?
There's a scene where they practice for a ritual. And let me tell you, the practice is intense. One of the quotes is, and I quote, "We should practice." Need to get my part right. For the ritual, practice. He wanted to practice in her.
Okay, that's direct. I'll give you that. So it's not all just philosophical discussions about the merits of organic fertilizer.
No, there's action, there's suspense. There's a lot of very descriptive language about body parts and the world building. Desirée M. Niccoli has created this incredibly immersive, atmospheric setting in the Black Forest. You can practically smell the pine needles and other things.
I'm sure. I'm also picturing a lot of splinters and chafing. All that rough, ancient god texture. It's not exactly smooth sailing, is it?
It's raw. It's primal. It's kind of hot. And the reviews. People are losing their minds. One person said, "My German ancestors are probably so proud of me for learning our native language through a monster smut book."
Well, that's one way to connect with your heritage. I prefer a certain website, but to each their own. Another reviewer said, and I quote, "I couldn't decide who I wanted more, but I've chosen cryptid sandwich with me in the middle."
See, people are enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic or slightly deranged. There's a fine line, a very fine line. And this book seems to be straddling it with a skull-faced god.
It's about embracing the unconventional. It's about finding love in the most unexpected places. It's about
getting therapy after reading it. Look, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's a lot. It's like someone took a Grimm's fairy tale, added a generous helping of 50 Shades of Grey, and then threw in a dash of osteology.
It's unique, and that's what makes it so compelling. It's not your typical romance. It's dark, it's twisted, it's memorable.
Memorable like a root canal, or that time you accidentally ate a ghost pepper.
Memorable like the best night of your life.
Okay, you've convinced me. I'm going to go home and reread my collection of Jane Austen novels and maybe take a cold shower.
And for everyone else, go out and get Untethering dark. Embrace the darkness, embrace the spice, embrace the skull-faced god of your dreams. And if you see me in the woods with a plate of cookies,
Call the authorities. Seriously, we're worried about you.
just kidding, mostly. We'll be right back after these messages. Don't touch that dial, unless you're touching it to turn it up. Remember to tune into Heart Book Radio